This episode is brought to you ad-free thanks to all of our wonderful patrons. You can get tons of exclusive content, including bonus episodes, warm-up audio, and early access to episodes, all while helping us keep the show going by joining at patreon.com/shonenflop.
Welcome to Shonen Flop Chibi, first impressions mini episode where we talk about the first chapter of the series we'll be covering in depth next week with our guest, Try Attack Zack.
Yeah. Very iconic Pokemon move.
Right, that you'd think would be like 3 types, but they can't really code that correctly, so it's just a normal move.
It's great.
Anyway, I'm Jordan, and with me today, as usual, is my lovely co-host, David. Say hi, David.
Hi, David.
What series are we covering this week, David?
Oh, man, this is a one that doesn't have a lot of heart, but it does have a lot of wizard soul. That's actually, I think, the spellcasting class in D&D I've played the least. #bard life.
Yeah, you're a bard.
Yeah, bardy hard. Oh, man. But Jordan, why don't you tell us a little bit about this series?
So this series is actually called Magic the Gathering, but for copyright reasons, it has to be called Wizard Soul.
What was it in Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic and Wizards or something?
Oh, man, I don't know, but it is called Wizard Soul, but as you'll see, it's Magic the Gathering. This is written by Aki, and then there's like a little star symbol, Eda.
Yeah.
And it ran from July 5th, 2013 to July 4th, 2015. Happy birthday, America.
Woo! We did invent card games, so it makes sense.
Did we?
Well, TCGs, yeah. Magic the Gathering was the first TCG. It's actually, they copyrighted the term TCG, and that's why other trading card games say collectible card games.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure America didn't invent the card game, just as a card game.
I still remember I'd never felt smarter in my life when we read Tricks Dedicated to Witches, and the one guy shows a Joker card, and I was like, wait, Jokers didn't exist in decks at that time period, and that actually was a clue that the guy was also a time traveler, which also showed that that series was written really well, that the author also knew that.
That was a good fucking series. But yeah, this ran for 22 chapters, 4 volumes.
I think it was either Tucker or Maxi B said it very explicitly, the star always has to be filled out. It is considered a misspelling of their name if you don't use a filled in star icon for that name.
Oh my god. Hell yeah. I'm not as angry at that as I was about Standers. Pretty cool.
So Jordan, what happened in this first chapter?
The entire world is run by Magic the Gathering. It's called Wizard Soul for copyright reasons, but it's Magic the Gathering, David. It is Magic the Gathering.
They even use the colors of Magic.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, she's a classic blue-green deck player. Like, it's Magic the Gathering. Monica works at a game shop where she regularly loses to elementary school players and hangs out with Sakurai, a skilled player with 1,500 plus duelist points. It was a pretty big crush on her.
Just these guys, he's big in the DP.
Yes, he's big in the DP and he's into WS, David.
Yeah.
One day, when Monica goes home, her unemployed father says he spent all of their money on a rare card scam. Fucking boomers, man.
Yeah.
Are Japanese boomers called boomers?
I don't know.
Because I think the baby boom was an American thing. Anyway, they're now millions of yen in debt. So Monica has to figure out how to make that money back.
I love how, given how absolute dog shit the exchange rate, 1,000,000 yen is like $27 right now. It is actually like the worst exchange rate the country has had in like 37 years.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I think it's like 100 yen is worth like 65 cents.
God.
So anyway, yeah, it's a really great time to go to Japan if you have the means. But anyway, she decides to join a big WS tournament, but to do that, she needs at least 1,500 DP.
Whoa.
So she challenges Sakurai, who's, I guess, done working on Smash Bros. For a minute. If she wins, she gets all his points, and if he wins, she'll do anything he wants, which he views as a confession of love. Unfortunately for him, Monica uses a permission deck, which fucking sucks to play against. Ugh, I know that firsthand. It makes all your friends hate you, but is very strong. She defeats him, and he is angry at how she won, so he leaves in a huff. They both leave the store depressed because they each secretly liked the other one. End of chapter 1, or should I say, end of turn 1.
Fucking blue-white decks, right?
I mean, honestly, the worst, though, is stacks decks. Yeah, using smokestacks, Train Orb. God, I have a friend who does that shit. I still remember, fuck you, Paul, when I was playing a graveyard deck. I was using a graveyard-based commander and played Rest in Peace turn 2. Fuck you, Paul, for doing that. I love the guy.
David, what colors do you play?
I actually have a deck of every color, so if people are wondering, my 4 main commanders are, I have an AC.
David is so progressive.
I am. So I have an AC deck, which is green-blue. I have a mono-red Krenko, but not the overpowered Krenko, the Tron Krenko. I have a black-white Aristocrats deck with the first Tasia, and then I've recently built a Bant Arcades deck, and those are my 4 commanders.
I've been throwing around a couple terms, and that's because Steph has played a lot of Magic the Gathering.
Oh, that's fun.
I don't know much about Magic the Gathering. I actually have played MTG Arena a couple times. I've learned how to play Magic like 4 or 5 times. I've just forgotten like the next day, almost immediately.
That's actually one of my chibi guesses that you'll see later about that.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Here's the thing. It's not a difficult game to learn. I know that. But because I didn't learn it when I was a kid, I just forget it. And I played Hearthstone. Like, I played a ton of games that are very clearly inspired by Magic.
But you used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! That's how we met.
Yeah, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not going to say I know how Yu-Gi-Oh! Works. I know how Yu-Gi-Oh! Worked in like 2004. It's a completely different game now. I asked her if she could tell me about like the colors, and I mentioned what this permission deck does, and she's like, oh, if you play blue-white, fuck you.
Yep.
She plays black-green.
Oh, there we go. Golgari. That's a good combination.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jordan, we probably should talk about this manga. I do want to say, as I talked about, I always think it's fun when a series has fun names for their chapters. Like Tetsuki Cinema said, it was like Scene 1. Sakamoto Days has Days 1, which I always think, even though grammatically it doesn't make sense, and I guess so it's like Days. But yeah, I think it's really just fun when they do that, and it just shows like a little extra detail that's just fun for the series.
Yeah.
So that map in the beginning, I couldn't tell, is it like a weird geography and it's like Hunter x Hunter where it kind of looks like Earth, but not? Or is it just, that was just a really zoomed in view of Japan at a weird angle?
I think it was Japan.
Okay, I don't get why it was tilted like 80 degrees.
I mean, you know, David, the direction we view the map is arbitrary. North doesn't have to be up. We've just decided that
is
it's up.
true in that you can flip the map 180 degrees. You cannot arbitrarily rotate it 60 degrees.
I mean, it's weird to do that. You can.
You can, but then it also means things like the poles don't work. Like the poles have to be at the top and the bottom of the map.
Unless you want to argue that the poles are on the side. I mean, you know, it's space.
I guess, yes, but again, you can't arbitrarily rotate it 60 degrees like they did at the map on the first page.
I guess you can. It's just really fucking weird. Why would you do that?
I'm pretty sure it's illegal, and that's honestly, I bet that's why the series got canceled.
I do think it's illegal in Japan.
That is true. To actually talk about this series, though, I feel the art is okay. It feels off. You could tell the author spent more time drawing certain panels than others, which is weird for a first chapter.
Yeah.
Like, some of the characters are kind of sketchy, and then some are more refined, and it just, honestly, it feels like sometimes maybe she, I actually think the author is a woman, if I do recall, based on a comment someone made.
Oh.
But it's felt like she had her assistants pitching in more than usual, and the art style felt a little inconsistent because of that.
I'm not surprised, really, to learn that it's a woman just because this series doesn't feel super shonen. Obviously, that's kind of stereotyping. Of course, women can write shonen manga, but,
yeah,
you know. Well, according to Shonen Jump editors, they cannot do that, but, you know. No, I mean, this series, yeah, the art is kind of off. It's not great. I feel like the kind of series this is, though, it's not the biggest deal because, again, it's not like a super fighting series. It's kind of a little bit more of a romance, at least in the first chapter.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out to me, I was kind of like, so are we not going to see the actual game being played? Like, you see the game being played, but it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you see the actual cards, like you get a play-by-play of the card game. It's just kind of like we said, oh, she's doing a permission deck and she's making all these cards bounce back and he's getting annoyed. It's kind of a summary of what's going on. I mean, I guess if they showed you the actual cards, they would get arrested. They would get arrested for copyright. They get fined or some shit. Or
so actually, you can't copyright game mechanics.
Well, not game mechanics, but if they showed the actual cards, it'd be like, oh, these are literally Magic cards because it's literally Magic the Gathering.
Well, they'd have like a Gray Lotus and shit. And I mean, Japan also is very relaxed.
Gray Lotus.
Yeah, it is very weird. I do wonder if this was originally pitched as a Magic Gathering manga and then they didn't get the rights to it, so they very hastily had to create something. I guess, yeah, it does seem like this isn't going to be so much about the game as the people. It's kind of like comparing Double Taisei to Yu-Gi-Oh! Where like Double Taisei didn't really care about shogi. They just wanted to talk about what it's like to play shogi, if that makes sense.
Yeah, versus like Hikaru no Go.
Yeah, where that was like, you really, really understood how Go worked by reading that manga. I don't think we learned the rules of shogi reading Double Taisei.
I mean, I certainly don't know how shogi works after reading Double Taisei. I kind of know how Go works after reading a little bit of Karu no Go.
Yeah.
It's like this strange thing where I feel like the author was trying to set it simultaneously in a fantasy world and the real world.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a fantasy world in the sense that everything is run by Magic the Gathering, which I'm just going to call it Magic the Gathering. I'm not going to call it Wizard Soul for the record.
That's fine.
But it's also like, it doesn't feel in the same way that like Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything is run by a card game. It really just feels like these are normal people. It's just that everything in the world is controlled by Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, it's just crazy Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules.
It's more subdued Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules. Like,
yeah.
It has like a vibe closer to Hikaru no Go.
Well, this is like actually more intense because the actual like entire like social economic framework is very explicitly hard coded to be your success in this system.
That's
like
fair.
There is like your economic success, unlike Yu-Gi-Oh just kind of increased over time. This is like hitting the ground running where the entire world literally revolves around this card game.
I feel like reading this manga, you're going to learn more about sort of the meta game or like the overall play styles versus like actually, you know, how to play the game. Like, I mean, she plays a permission deck.
Yeah.
I just really think it's funny that it's like she played the deck that all your friends fucking hate.
Yeah, which actually was originally called The Deck.
The deck?
It's literally the very first permission deck was just called The Deck, and it essentially shut the game down and won with Sarah Angel because that was really the first ever like really strongly constructed control deck ever made.
Is this actually like called a control deck?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, would you call it a permission deck?
Yeah, a permission is a control deck. Yeah, there's different types of permission. Like permission, draw, go, control are all kind of very similar in concept.
I just asked because I've heard of a control deck. I've never heard of a permission deck.
Essentially, in Magic the Gathering, there's a few primary types of deck types. Essentially, there's control, aggro, and combo are essentially the big three.
Yeah.
And then those can be broken down. And then there's stuff like mid-range, then there's burn, there's ramp, which are different types. But essentially, that's the big three is control, aggro, combo.
What do you like to play?
Generally, combo in multiplayer formats is not considered like very sportsman because essentially you're just kind of solitaring and then you win without interacting. I mean, aggro is considered fair magic. People say as Richard intended, where you just turn creatures sideways and win doing that and let people actually play their stuff. It just means that you outplayed them playing the same game, for lack of a better term, while control is making that your opponent doesn't feel like they really got to play their deck.
My understanding of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that it's mostly like control decks at this point.
All I know is Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like a 3-turn format.
Yeah, games are very fast because they're fast in number of turns because everybody has like OTKs and FTKs and shit like that.
Yeah, it's an absurd. Apparently, it's just like mutated into some weird thing where it's like it's technically 3 turns, but still those 3 turns can easily last 25 minutes.
Yeah, I just remember everybody who's interested should look up the video where like a guy recently won a game at a tournament using Exodia and it like shocked everybody, but it was fucking awesome.
I feel like we should probably talk about this manga more though, Jordan.
Is there much more to say about this manga?
So it's like weird. I thought this was first just like a fun slice of life, and then I saw the black text bubbles, which nothing good is ever going to happen when you see black text bubbles in a manga.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, this seems fun. And I said, wow, it got really depressing. Also, this match had a lot on the line, but he didn't side deck, which I thought was weird because it's like he just kind of, I guess, raw dogs the entire match, which is not a good idea.
I don't know what side decking means. Why?
So side decking is in Magic, which I assume this game does as well. It's in an official tournament match. You have 15 additional cards you can rotate between your main deck and your side deck. So it means, though, that there are cards like, say, Steph, you said, plays Golgari. That uses the graveyard, which is where cards go usually when they're used up.
Yeah.
And so there are cards in certain colors. So as my story, the card Rest in Peace literally says no one has a graveyard anymore. And you would not play that unless you were playing a deck that actually cared about what was in their graveyard. So if your first match, you may lose to a graveyard strategy, but then you can play cards that optimize against it. Because obviously you wouldn't play that card is useless against a non-graveyard deck, but against a graveyard deck, it's extremely powerful. So you would have that in your side deck.
So basically a side deck allows you to adjust your deck like in between games.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
So like versus a control deck, you don't care about creature destruction. They're probably not going to have creatures on the field. So you want to do stuff like play cards that maybe can't be countered, can't be discarded, can't be targeted, or like haste creatures that let you set your clock to a faster speed to ideally go under them if you're playing an aggressive deck.
It seems like maybe his side deck just wasn't set up to deal with this because he just assumed nobody's gonna be this big of a fucking asshole to play this type of deck.
It is just funny how he never actually side decked.
Yeah, that said, I think it's really interesting how she goes this route because it's kind of like, nah, man, she's playing to win. This isn't a joke for her. She's not doing this to have fun. She needs the fucking prize money. So she's going to play the annoying, boring, asshole deck to play against because she's here to fucking win.
Yeah. And then Jordan, though, are you here to win it by reading another 10 chapters of this?
I am.
Yeah, me too. I want to finish this. I just want to see also what fun Magic Gathering references they make.
Yeah.
And then Jordan, what do you think will happen next?
I think that Sakurai and Monica eventually get together at the end.
Aw.
You know, because he will learn why she's playing and he'll be like, oh, okay.
That's cute.
I think that Monica gets a really bad reputation at the tournament and people fucking hate her.
Yeah, that bitch.
And I think the end is a flash forward to her being a famous Magic player.
We always guess that.
Yeah, how about you? We're right sometimes.
As we alluded to, mine is I'm going to recommend Jordan play Magic Gathering Arena so he can learn the rules to Magic, which he will not do, or will he now, because it means I won't get a point if he does, or does he? We're going to find out. My actual guess, though, is Monica's dad keeps making everything worse, and she has to play a high-stakes game to get him out of a really bad situation where it might be like a kanji thing, or it's like they cut off her hand or something. Like some like fucked up death game, you know?
Yeah.
Next, Monica's mother was a great card player and she finds out she inherited her will. And the main bad guy is going to play a black deck. Hopefully it'll be the opposite, that he has some nice appearance. And they're like, oh, what a sweet guy. And then he pulls out a bunch of swamps and you're like, oh shit. Fun fact though, actually, the most recent Magic set is based on Redwall and it's about fun animal creatures.
Oh,
and one
shit.
of the mechanics is called Offspring, where you can make little baby versions of your creatures.
Oh.
And a common thing for black is they sacrifice creatures, you know, for effects. And they were like, oh, we had to remove this mechanic because we realized the implications most often you would be sacrificing your children for these cards. So they were like, oh yeah, this like mechanically is fine. It just doesn't feel good that I'm like, I make a little baby squirrel. Now I'm going to sacrifice it. So I just thought that's really funny.
That is really
And then
funny.
Jordan, what's your power word?
Draw, because you know, David, this series is drawn and they drawn cards.
I can respect that. And then Jordan, what's my power word?
Final Deep.
Yeah, I just put in white text that Jordan would have to highlight it.
Yeah, except I read this in dark mode.
God damn it. I tried.
You tried. So David, you wanna remind the listeners who haven't heard this before why you had it, like what the fuck Final Deep is and why it's funny?
Yeah, so Final Deep is Jordan and I once tried making a card game and we tried to come up with really stupid names for expansion packs, and that was really the best. I think we did a Patreon reading where we came up with Yu-Gi-Oh style TCG.
Yeah.
I think the best one in that one was Reconnaissance of Destiny, was also up there. I think that was our favorite from when we did that.
Yeah, we were trying to come up with Yu-Gi-Oh, like card expansions that sound like Yu-Gi-Oh would have, because a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh card expansions are just like charging victory and shit like that like really means nothing when you think about it.
Exactly.
So Final Deep is amazing.
Exactly. All right. And then, you know what else is amazing is our wonderful people who ask us questions on the Shonen Flop Discord. As a reminder, you can ask them and find a link to our Discord on our website, shonenflop.com, or in the show notes. Get priority of those who haven't asked a question before, haven't had a question in a long time, or are patrons. Starting with from ZZ Digital, if you could pilot a large robot, how big would your robot be ideally?
Oh man, this is a really good question actually, because it's like I don't think I'd want to have it like Gunbuster size, and by Gunbuster size I mean the size of the fucking planet.
Yeah.
Or like Gurren Lagann, like the final one size, which is bigger than the entire universe, because you can really do anything with it, but like you still want a big one because it's cool, right?
Yeah, I feel like a 50-foot range is that where it's like you could realistically store it somewhere.
Yeah.
But it can like do fun thing.
Around the size of a moderately sized skyscraper, I would say.
Oh, okay. So like more, because 50, 60 feet is like 6-story buildings. So you want one that's like hundreds of feet tall.
Nah, I think you're right. No, I would say like 100 feet, 100-foot robot. Maybe Big O size, you know?
Oh, man, that was a great series.
God, Big O was so cool. That's like the only giant robot show I've seen where it's like they actually like walk like how giant robots might actually walk. Like they feel heavy as fuck.
Yeah. All right. Next up from Aussie Rat, mountains or ocean? I love the mountains. I don't like the beach. I don't like being out in the sun. I actually went to New Hampshire last week or 2 weeks ago. So that was really nice to get to be in the mountains. How about you, Jordan?
Man, sometimes I just want to get on a boat, go out to the middle of the ocean, just kind of chill. But I can't do that. But I went on a boat one time and I was like, man, this is great.
I still love how our last patron reading was what kind of boat would you be? Or what kind of boat would you have? All right, next up from Resident Warhammer Nerd, if you were a new magic card, what creature type would you be / what would you want to do? So what creature type would you be, Jordan?
I'd be the coolest type.
You'd be a what?
The coolest type.
All right.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I put these questions to fuck with Jordan because we had all those Mega Man questions.
The magic card one is for you. The Get a Robo question is for me, okay?
That's why I did that. I put some questions in for you. This is for you.
This is for you.
Fucking beat you to it. Yeah, I guess I would be a human. Humans are a great creature type, I guess. I don't know what kind of creature I would want to be. I actually do design some custom magic. I had one that was a bit of a popular one where the most recent set, you can give gifts to people. So it's like gift a fish, gift a card. I made one that was like a murder variant that you gifted a clue, which destroyed the creature if you gave a gift. Otherwise, it just damaged the creature. So that's not really related to the question. I just thought that was a clever design I thought of. Huh. So you can find that on the custom magic subreddit, though I fucked up the reminder text. All right. And then Jordan, assign a Magic Gathering color to whatever you most recently read. So Jordan, for the manga we had just read last week, what would you say? What colors would you assign it?
What's the most forgettable magic color?
I think green is the lamest.
Then it's green, because I don't remember shit.
Yeah, so we'll say Yamato against Tsuki is a very green manga.
Yeah, okay.
Understandable. Have a nice day. All right, next up. So there's an Eidolon. So Jordan, this one is explicitly for you. So there's an Eidolon of Revels on the field. You're at 2 life and your opponent's at 4. With a Lightning Helix, a Lightning Bolt in hand, a Healer's Hawk on your side, and 3 open mana. Assume no interaction with your opponent. They are tapped out, 0 cards in hand. What do you do on your turn to win, Jordan? And that's from Meru.
So Lightning Bolt is a really good noise rock band that I saw live, and the drummer pulled me on stage. It was awesome.
And kissed you.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, David, I would sacrifice them and summon Skull, and he would do like what is that? Like White Lightning? What the fuck was that attack called? I don't fucking know. And yeah, he'd attack the enemy's life points directly.
I love it. Oh man, I actually answered this one in the Discord so people can see my answer there. Or actually, I guess real quick, you attack with Healer's Hawk to bring yourself up to 4 life, and then you Lightning Bolt them, taking 2 from your own Eidolon, but you survive it while bringing your opponent down to 0. Next up from ZZ Digital, because whoops, I forgot they changed their name, so they're getting 2 questions this week. Hey Jordan, what's your favorite Getter Robo set and team? And I have 0 idea how to answer this question, so that's how it goes.
All right, so I thought about this, and like, I'm assuming Get a Robo set, you're talking about series. So I've read 4 of the Get a Robo series. I've read Get a Robo G, Get a Robo Go,
and Get a Robo Takes Manhattan.
Well, Shin Get a Robo, but yeah, exactly. I think it's hard for me to argue that Get a Robo Go isn't the best one. It's really good. It's like amazing. But the best team, I thought about this. It's gotta be the first one. It's gotta be Ryoma, Hayato, and Musashi. You know, I was thinking maybe Hayato, Ryoma, and Benkei. But like, Musashi is such a fucking king. I gotta have Musashi there, man. So that's my answer.
I don't know what anything you said meant, but I'm really excited that you had a fun question.
Thank you.
Next up, from T. Wolfwood, have you guys started reading any of the newer Jump series like Cougar or News Exorcist? So we actually, in our next mystery box, are going to be going through the first chapter of Kugurabachi because it's officially too long for us to cover. So we are going to finally do a piece of content on the hottest manga of the year.
I hear that series is going to be the next One Piece, David.
Oh, it already is.
No, I mean, here's the thing, guys. We can't read a manga until it's a certain number of chapters because it might end up on our show.
Unless it's like something so stupidly popular, like Ruri Dragon. It's like, there's no question that's exceeding. So that's why we were like, fuck.
Ruri Dragon is so good that if it gets canceled, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, we'll still do something for, but it's almost a 0%, unless the author gets super sick again, 0% chance that series is getting canceled before 35 chapters.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then finally from Mr. Davey, what would you name an episode of Smiling Friends? Where, for those who don't know, most of the time the Smiling Friends title has nothing to do with the series. It's with the episode itself, which is great. So, Jordan, how about you? What would you just, without any idea what the episode is about, what would you just name an episode of Smiling Friends?
Charlie Gets His Gun.
Charlie Gets His Gun. I love it. Actually, I did make that joke, but I think the Smiling Friends Takes Manhattan would be a great episode title, where it's just, and they just get stuck in the airport at JFK again. I also thought it would be great if there was an episode called This Episode is Written by Anthony Birch, and that's the name of the episode I write, because that just feels like such a Smiling Friends episode.
What's your favorite Smiling Friends episode title?
I think it's why am I spacing on his name? Not Charlie.
Pim?
The other main character?
Alan? Pim?
Pim, yeah, when it's Pim dies and doesn't come back.
No, it's Charlie dies and doesn't come back.
Oh, it is Charlie dies. Yeah, I love Charlie dies and doesn't come back.
That actually is my favorite one too. That's what
because it's such a fucking, because it's completely untrue.
It's untrue. Spoiler alert.
All the title names of Smiling Friends are lies.
You also gotta respect Gwimbly Definitive Remastered Enhanced Extended Edition DX 4K Anniversary Director's Cut. That's also a really good title.
And isn't also Pim Turns Green, and that has nothing to do with that episode. God, I love that show.
Or The Magical Red Jewel, aka Tyler Gets Fired. You remember when Tyler got fired?
Yo, dude, that was actually, Tyler did get fired in that episode, so that's a bad example.
Yeah, but still, it's just like, I can't get over that they fired Tyler. I mean, it's such a shock.
God, I love it. All right, but I thought that was a really, as always, if I had a question, it doesn't actually count for our 5 question count. I added extra ones because I knew Jordan couldn't really answer some of these. So this, I don't know, it was just a fun one. But yeah, Jordan, I want to say thank you so much for all of your hard work on the show.
Thank you, David. Thank you for all the hard work on the show as well.
No problem, babe. Props to Shannon for the awesome cover art. Find her online at illuminyatea. Thank you, Dylan, for assistance with editing. Find his podcast, Anime Out of Context, at animeoutofcontext.com. Appreciate you giving a shout out. He was just on an episode on Bartender and mentioned Service Wars in his time with us.
Hell yeah.
Thanks to Tucker and Maxie B for assistance with pronunciation, translation, other miscellaneous research. Find us on Twitter at ShonenFlopcast, Tumblr Shonen-Flop, our website ShonenFlop.com, on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcasts. And as we mentioned, join the Shonen Flop Discord, open to everyone, patron or not. Hang out with us, talk about anime, games, whatever else is on your mind. We have a movie night and we have an Assassination Classroom book club, which is really exciting.
Ooh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Find a link to it in the show notes or on our site, which is great because did we cover the guy who did Assassination Classroom or worked on Assassination? We've mentioned Assassination. I know I talked about the Elusive Samurai last week, so maybe that's why I'm thinking about him.
I think we did cover the first chapter of Assassination Classroom at some point for some reason. I don't know why.
Sounds fair.
Or maybe I just read the first chapter.
I think you did. I don't think we've done content on it.
Yeah.
If you've been enjoying the podcast and want to help us keep going, consider subscribing to our Patreon. Wouldn't be able to keep running the show without their support. Ton of awesome perks. Like, Jordan, what was our exclusive piece of content for the month of July?
Well, David, we covered the first part of Cypher Academy.
Yes, the most puzzling manga ever made.
Oh, God, it is. With Megan from Volume 1.
Yes, and we're actually about to go record part 2 in about 20 minutes.
Yes. Oh, boy.
So it'll be a fun double feature. Is part 2 any better? You're going to have to listen to find out.
Oh, boy.
And then also you get other exclusive pieces of content like early access to our episodes, the Shonen Drop, where we talk about the last month's episode, including opening the mystery box, where we have a fun piece of bonus content. We've done things like talk about our Record of Ragnarok roster. We've reviewed Ruri Dragon. And yeah, what was our mystery box this month, Jordan? I honestly don't recall off the top of my head. What did we do?
So we created our own One Piece crew from Shonen Flop protagonists.
Such a shocker who our sniper was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can find that at patreon.com/shonenflop. And I want to read some of our wonderful patrons. Starting with our dolphin dads, I want to say a place so pure, so dirty, so raw, in bed all day. So Sean, arch your back and point your toes. Glornak and Rachel, my wonderful wife, she offered to buy me some cake yesterday, but I'm trying to be good on my diet. Then moving on down to the ravioli tier, where you get weekly pictures of ravioli, and actually related to this series, I will send you Ravioli Magic the Gathering goblin tokens, because she is a goblin dog.
Pretty good.
Yes. Raviole's fun fact is there's been a fly in her house, and we just see her randomly watching the fly and then try and catch it. So you just see her randomly snap in the air, and she always misses, but it's very cute to see her try. We have Chris, Eva, Jeanette Davis, Lady T, Matt, Scarlett Mirmanen, T, Tiffany, Trev, and Trevor. Moving on down to the King of the Forest, we have 090Z, Bandit Stoof,
my girlfriend,
Brad, Chad, Jacob Andrew Galloway, Justin Hefner, Kirby Mon, Marty, Riley, Sarah Hydra, T Wolfwood, and Tommy Boy. Moving on down to our Galactic Ball Federation officers, we have Midsize Sedan, Andrew Schnepp, Andy's Islands, Aura, Viza, Blamumu, Brandon M, Brian Sexton, Cole, David, Dennis, Tone Dox Me Dadderson, Drago, Drew, Dylan, Nigel, Fax, Flash Cardman, Generic Man, Hey Randall, Ian McConnell, Keanu, Lay, Manly P. Hall, Mara Barra, Matt Solovich, Mike Carpenter, Obscure Reference, oh my god, Toga. I just saw Animal House yesterday. Again, I love it. Resident Warhammer Nerd, Ryan Jasinski, Salvia, Scott Fischler, Sybil Arnett, Silly Rookie, Stepping for Senpai Ash, Staghorn, Taper Clip, Tucker Wadley, Voluntarily Bussy, Right, and ZZ Digital. God, maybe we should, God, I just imagine our very last ever patron would say, what was your anime out of context Patreon name? God, it's really just how many times do we say the word bussy?
That's really good, actually.
Yeah, okay. We have to bring him on for that. God. Actually, they've done a patron reading for us, but it was a completely normal one.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. And then, Jordan, anything you want to toss in?
Listen to Mission Ignition, and if you're considering watching the first two movies in the Grandmaster saga by Matthew Barney, don't.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening. Tune in next Monday for our full episode of Wizard Soul featuring Try Attack Zach.
This has been Jordan.
This has been David.
And you've been listening to Show to Flop. David, say it.
Keep on flop.